Tonight, strike expanded. BC's wildland firefighters walk off the job. Asked to leave. John Roustad's facing calls to step down. And rolling up their sleeves, the province rolls out plans for the flu season. Well, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. And we begin tonight with BC's Public Service Workers Union expanding job action, even as it takes part in mediated talks with the government to end the dispute. The BC GEU is saying tonight BC Wildfire Service members and employees from the Ministry of Forests are joining the picket lines. The Wildfire Service currently has 94 active fires burning in the province. 90% of those are considered to be under control. Now, the union says the essential services will remain in place to ensure public safety. More than 25,000 of the union's 34,000 members are involved in strike action. The union and the government will start non-binding negotiations with veteran mediators over the weekend. John Roustad is facing growing calls to resign as the leader of the BC Conservatives. A letter addressed to Roustad and signed by the party's president and 6 other members of his management committee calls on him to immediately step down. The letters cite, quote, chaos and an unprecedented level of turmoil that has engulfed the party. And it goes on to say that turmoil under his leadership has undermined the party's credibility and destabilized its cohesion. This week, MLA Amelia Bultby was the 5th MLA to quit the party over differences with Roustad. Roustad telling reporters in Victoria today he's not going anywhere. Rob Buffum reports.
Fallout from the latest MLA to leave the BC Conservatives continues.
Obviously, emotions are something that is welcome and that all people, and I can tell you something, not just women cry.
Monday, Amelia Bultby quit the caucus, saying leader John Roustad was unraveling. He fired back, calling her a leak, not in step with important party policies, and referenced emotional moments she'd had, along with offers for her to take a leave of absence. Comments that met with strong rebukes from his opponents Tuesday.
I don't think you should be calling out somebody's mental health, and I think that he should apologize.
Blaming somebody's mental health for why there's a disagreement is just not okay. It's quite disgusting, actually.
Roustad told reporters Monday that staffers noted Bultby had been tearful and confused. Tuesday, he said his comments were taken out of context and rejected the idea that he'd raised her mental health as an issue.
The reason for raising it at the time was to talk about the support that we were trying to work through and the issues we were trying to work through with her.
All of this back and forth, seemingly the latest distraction for the party that nearly won an election 1 year ago.
We are seeing the last days of John Roustad as leader of the Conservatives. It's hard to imagine how he can continue to lead a caucus that he does not have the trust of, seemingly, and does not trust in himself.
And it's welcome news for the fledgling Centre BC, founded 6 months ago. Its leader, former BC United MLA Karine Kirkpatrick, says memberships have spiked in recent weeks, and she's been talking with Conservative and NDP MLAs interested in joining.
There are conversations going on, and I'll tell you there's conversations going on with the NDP as well. So we are a centre party, and we'd certainly like to see bring some NDP MLAs over as well as Conservative MLAs.
Still, Roustad was defiant when asked about the NDP calling an opportunistic early election.
I welcome an early election call if the Premier is so brave to do that. Our internal polling shows us actually tied.
Robert Buffum, CTV News, Victoria.
Now, under the BC Conservative Party constitution, the board cannot force the leader to quit. Roustad told reporters that the letter was an internal matter within the party and that he plans to speak with the committee. Well, health officials are rolling up their sleeves as the province starts administering flu and COVID-19 vaccines for the virus season. BC's health minister says the province has secured almost 2 million doses of the flu vaccine and another 1.4 million doses for COVID-19. The booking system opened on October the 15th, and already more than 300,000 doses have been provided. Health Minister Josie Osborne also addressed concerns about the disinformation that's been circulating around vaccines.
These false claims can undermine confidence in proven public health measures and make it harder for people to make informed choices. Here in British Columbia, we base our health policies and decisions on strong scientific evidence and expert medical advice.
Influenza, COVID-19, they do evolve, they change on an ongoing basis. And because of that, we need to update the vaccines so that we can actually match the best way possible what circulates with the vaccine, and you get the best protection.
Now, folks are being encouraged to look up their particular situation to know which vaccines are the best suited for them. And just in time for the start of respiratory illness season, the Fort St. John Hospital Foundation receiving a generous grant. The money from TB Vets is going to the purchase of a body plethysmography machine. The vital piece of equipment will soon be in operation at the respiratory department at the Fort St. John General Hospital. The advanced diagnostic tool allows for detailed lung testing. Until now, patients in Northeast BC had to travel all the way to Prince George or even Alberta for this level of testing, often facing wait times that have been up to a year. We're getting a snapshot of the burnout facing young nurses across the province. A report from MEI says for every 100 new nurses under the age of 35 that started in BC 2 years ago, 27 of those have left the workforce. And countrywide, that number is even higher, with 40% of young nurses leaving their jobs. Nursing job vacancies have also tripled across Canada in the past 5 years. The number has jumped from around 13,000 in 2018 to more than 40,000 vacancies in 2023. Meantime, there's been another assault on a nurse in BC, this time in Maple Ridge, and it has the BC Nurses Union pleading to the government to do more to protect healthcare workers. Earlier this month, RCMP were called to the Alouette Homes, a mental health facility providing involuntary care after reports of a nurse being assaulted by a patient. RCMP say the worker was taken to hospital with injuries that are not believed to be serious. Days earlier, police in New Westminster had to use a taser to arrest a suspect who allegedly threatened workers at the Royal Columbian Hospital with an edged weapon. The Nurses Union is demanding more specifically trained security officers to work in healthcare settings.
We'd like to see more security officers of this type, because there's many facilities in British Columbia that there isn't any provision of security.
The Nurses Union is heading to Victoria this week to meet with elected officials and talk about healthcare worker safety. A former fugitive tied to one of BC's most violent gangs has pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. Connor DeMonte's plea is tied to the killing of Kevin LeClaire. He's a member of the Red Scorpions gang. And at the time of the murder, DeMonte was allegedly a senior figure in the United Nations gang. The conspiracy to commit murder charge is also tied to the Bacon brothers, but he fled the country before he could be arrested. He fled Canada in 2021 and spent more than a decade on the run before being taken into custody in Puerto Rico in 2022. He's due back in court November the 12th to set a date for sentencing. Now, the separate, more serious murder charge is expected to be stayed. A man from northern BC has been banned from every Home Depot across British Columbia. It comes after he was caught stealing more than $14,000 worth of tools from where he worked. 24-year-old David Schritter admitted in court to sneaking merchandise out of the Home Depot in Prince George. He then sold the items on Facebook Marketplace under a fake name. The thefts happened over a 3-week period back in 2023. Store security eventually catching on and called police, who found stacks of tools in Schritter's home. On top of the Home Depot ban, he's been sentenced to 14 months house arrest, and he must complete 50 hours of community service. Consumer Protection BC is ordering Amazon to pay nearly $20,000 in penalties and fees for breaking BC's consumer protection laws. The move follows an investigation that would look into a complaint from a customer who never received their online order. Amazon claimed the package was delivered to someone at the home, but regulators say that's not enough. Delivery terms must be clearly outlined and agreed to. Amazon now has 30 days to appeal and must also refund the customer more than $500. Officials say it's a reminder for consumers to know their rights. And cryptocurrency exchange has been slapped with a fine of almost $177 million. It involves a company from British Columbia accused of operating on the dark web. The fine, the largest ever penalty from Canada's Financial Intelligence Agency, an incorporation business from here in BC that operates under the name Cryptimus, was hit with a massive fine for failing to flag more than 1,000 transactions involving darknet markets with suspected links to criminal activity. Some of those violations are alleged to be connected to child exploitation, fraud, and ransomware payments. Well, to Ottawa, where the Prime Minister will deliver a primetime speech about the economy tonight, and there is a lot at stake. Today, Mark Carney meeting with the leaders of both the Bloc Québécois and the Conservatives, with the budget less than 2 weeks away. Mike Lecouture reports.
What is the message you hope to convey to Canadians tonight with your address?
The message will be conveyed in the address.
The Prime Minister was tight-lipped ahead of his evening speech, which is being given to students who are entering the workforce at a moment of rupture in our history.
We have to make major investments in our economic capacity and our trade capacity. And I haven't seen the speech, but I'm sure he'll be talking about some of those things.
CTV News has learned the speech will focus on 4 themes: diversifying trade partners away from the U.S., a new talent and immigration plan to fill the workforce's needs, climate, and the core principle of the budget, to spend less and invest more. After an early morning meeting with the Prime Minister, the leader of the Bloc Québécois said his MPs will support the budget if some key demands are met, including increasing health transfers to the provinces by more than $11 billion.
It's their responsibility and only theirs to find somebody to vote with them. They know our conditions, and if they wake up a little bit late, it's once again their problem.
Ahead of his meeting with the Prime Minister, the Conservative leader was open to collaboration.
If he takes my suggestions of bringing down the deficit to the level the Liberal government promised, of getting rid of the hidden taxes on food, well, then let's have a look at it.
Now, if the Liberals can't get opposition support for November's budget, the government would fall, and there would be the second election in just 7 months. But multiple MPs say Canadians aren't in the mood for that. Mike Lecouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
And Health Canada is now admitting that a number of people who were not eligible for the National Dental Plan received care anyway. Health Canada says it is due to an error on how income was calculated for some applicants. In all, 70,000 people were found to be ineligible, but about 28,000 of them had already received care. Ottawa now says affected applicants will not have to repay the difference for the care they received before October the 24th. All right, please do stay tuned. I'll be right back with weather coming up after the break.